Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the J&A Investments team.
And today we're going to cover a new launch that just came out hot from the oven just about 1 day ago. And
if you like JB,
yes,
you'll like this one.
Next to JB, Woodlands, just 2 stops down. And in the future, very soon, it'll be a direct train straight to JB.
Yeah.
So this new launch is called Norwood Grand. And without much further ado, let's begin. And before we start, we'd like to thank our clients who have supported us over the years. And we have served close to 500 investment clients up to date with returns of 19.56%. So if you like more of this content, do let us know in the comments below. And we're more than happy to bring more value along the years. And recently, our January essay Google review for 5-star have reached 129. And it's something that we are very, very happy because it shows that our hard work had paid off.
Yeah.
And it's something that are looking forward to add more value when it comes to selling homes and investment advice in real estate.
And if you want to find out how our team sell homes and how we hit record prices, do check out our Lock It series also.
Alright, so without further ado, let's jump straight into this project. Okay, so this project, Norwood Grand, is found in the heart of Woodlands South. Developer is CDL, okay, renowned developer, very aggressive recently in buying land and building. Recently, in fact, one of our teammates actually just said on a group chat, they said, hey, the Tembusu Grand is almost fully completed. It just shows that the money is being collected and now they are looking to invest in other projects, and Norwood Grand is one of them. In fact, they recently also just bought into this place called Union Square and they're rebuilding and buying a property aggressively. So this site area is about 14,000 square meter, pretty decent. Okay, 99 years lease from 18 December 2023, which is about close to 1 year ago. Number of units, 348. So a very sweet size, not too small, not big either, but it's something that is still of an acceptable number of units. TOP date, wow, it's pretty long here. It's about 31st March 2030, which almost 5 to 6 years. But of course, that's what they predict.
Earlier,
it could be much earlier. It could be maybe 2 years earlier. Okay, so it consists of 4 blocks of total of 11-story residential with an early childhood development
It's
center.
quite common now. A lot of the rental projects, you also see that they have a childcare center. So I think it's something that government are trying to introduce in the newer developments also.
Yes, correct. All right, so let's take a look at some of the development developed by CDL before. We have Windsor Grand, which is at D5 West Coastville. We have Cocoa Palms, which is at Pasir Ris, and we have all the way to the center of city, Canning Hill Piers.
Which all also did pretty well.
Yes, 99% sold. Yeah. That's why currently I can see CDL, they have already collected the returns from the other projects, and it has been appearing more in our videos recently for all the new launch reviews.
Yep. So let's take a look at the land bids for Norwood Grand. This site alone actually got six bids by developer. I would say it's a pretty high number. In fact, last year, this site actually got the highest number of bids for a non-EC site. And why we also want to see, okay, how many developers actually bid for it, basically also shows the popularity of, I would say, the area, the potential that the developers actually see in this area. And we also want to see the differences in terms of the different bids. So you'll see that CDL versus TID, which is under Hong Leong, the difference is about 8.3% higher. So you also don't want the first bidder or the top bidder to be too high above the second bidder. So then it shows like they kind of overbidded for the land.
Potentially why they have so many bids is this is the first land they launched
in
after,
a long time.
I would say 10 years, close to 10 years. So that's something that people have been looking at it and say, okay, maybe this is a change in the market. Yeah. All right, so in terms of schools, some of the schools over here, we have Innova Primary, Sydney Primary, Wood Group Primary, Woodlands Primary, and Woodlands Green Primary School.
So got 5, quite a lot of primary schools.
Yeah, quite a lot of primary schools,
Yeah.
quite family friendly. And of course, 2KM with Admiralty, Evergreen, Fuchun, Greenwood, and Qihua. Okay, all, I would say decent schools. And this project is just right next to MRT, Woodlands South MRT, okay, which you can see right over here. It's in fact 1 stop away from the Woodlands MRT, Woodlands main MRT, which is next to Causeway Point. Another 2 more stops, I would say, to your Woodlands North MRT, which will be linked later on. You can see it will link all the way to JB in the future. Okay. In terms of site map, okay, whereas it's I would say a decent size plot, 14,000 square meter, 300 plus units. I would say it consists of a total of 4 blocks. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in between, there's also a swimming pool with a tennis court. So I would say it's a decent size plot where you don't see much of small plots coming out recently because, as you know, developers, they want to build at least a mid-sized plot to a big-sized plot, no longer one that's small.
So in terms of facing wise, you either be facing Innova, which is on top of the plot. If not, the two plots at the side would be HDBs also.
Yes, and facing the small road is the champion way. All right. So next part, the most important part for investment is to understand what is the entry price. So for this entry price, if you take a look, okay, first thing we analyze is how D25 perform versus the entire Singapore. So something very interesting is that if you look at D25, which is the blue line over here, okay, as compared to the whole Singapore, which is the orange line, you can see the whole Singapore appreciated about 38.27%, but on the other hand, Woodlands actually underperformed at 20.64. Okay, from the 2014 after the cooling measures, 2013 cooling measure, all the way to today. Okay, and it has greatly underperformed when it comes to the OCR region, is 48.43%.
Yeah, but I think if you were to look at the last 4 years, you would start to see Woodlands area catch up. Because if you look at from, let's say, after COVID to now in the last 4 years, right, you'll see Singapore went up by 29. Of course, OCR outperformed Singapore by about 39%.
Correct.
And you'll see actually Woodlands is actually on par or closely catching up with the OCR potential. So it's at 33%. So you start to see Woodlands start to catch up, or the demand in Woodlands starts to increase also over time.
Yes, indeed. So this is not something that we do look at when it comes to like whether the development can perform more. The key thing is always back to the micro, which is what is the entry price to entering into a development. But it's just a quick gauge of how things are performing so far. All right. So let's jump straight into this project. What's the price? It just came out 1 day ago. Amazing. By CDL. Okay. Champion with GI site 904 per square feet per plot ratio. And just 1 year ago, it came out the pricing 1996 per square feet for the two bedder. One plus study. The two bed is 1984 per square feet. The 3-bedroom is about 1923, and the 4-bed is about 1009. Okay, so take note, this plot is after area harmonization, which we can see when it comes to the break even. Okay, it seems to be lower because area harmonization has been effected when this land was launched. Break even of 1687 per square feet. Okay, in order to account for the area harmonizer effect, okay, which is mentioned in our previous videos. You can go and take a look for those who are yet to understand about area harmonization. You add a 7% profit margin to this, raising the break-even to 1805 per square feet. Okay, so as predicted previously, we did predict that profit margin 10% will be 1986, 15% profit margin will be 2076.
So I think it's quite fair where the developers are launching it, where, averagely now OCR prices are about 2,000 range. I think they're on par. They're not launching it crazily. They're launching on what market would accept. And it's pretty comparable to the 10-15% that we usually see.
Yes, indeed. All right. So with the break-even price, that's one part. Let's take a look at the resale comparison.
Yeah.
So for resale-wise, you can see there's quite a few projects around the area. Okay, most of them are actually ECs. Okay, like Forest View, Twin Fountain, Woodville, North Oaks. Okay, and some of them, in fact, I would say 60-70% of projects are 2011 and before. For example, you have something very old all the way to 1998, the Wood Grove Condo, which is very old. Then you have something that is, I would say, in the midst of 2000, 2010, which is Rosewood, 2003, Casablanca, La Casa, okay, and also Woodsville EC and Norfolk EC. But the new ones we have here, okay, is towards the 2010 to 2015 period. We have like Park Rosewood, okay, we have 2016 Twin Fountain, Forest View, Bellwoods EC. Okay, so for this comparison, okay, we're only taking 3 projects. Okay, one will be a pure condo, the newest condo that came out, which is Woodhaven. And another two is the newest EC that actually MOP'd and currently selling in the market today. Okay, so why we're looking at this is because by finding out what is the resale price around the area, we're able to gauge whether, hey, this project when launched, PSF's cheap, but is it really truly cheap? So that's something you will dissect later on by looking at all this resale.
Yeah, so I think secondary market resale prices, it's a correlation on the demand, on how much people valuing like the resale in this area. To see that, okay, when you launch as a new launch, are you too far off? Meaning that your competition is going to be very stiff in the future, or you are relatively close by.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So when compared to these 3 projects, Bellwoods, Northway, Woodhaven, as compared to Norwood Grand, you can see, okay, 2 of them are EC, as I mentioned just now. One is a condo. They're generally new, and the size of development is about the same. about ranging on 337 all the way to 561 units. So they are really apple-to-apple comparison.
So if let's say Norwood Grand were to TOP 2028 to let's say 2029, then the gap between if you take from a TOP dates, right, it would range between I think about 10 years all the way to maybe 13 years.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, one of them, which is your Bellwoods, is one of the closest to that of your for this Norwood Grand. So that part we are basically looking into it more in depth to really compare to see whether this is something that's worth considering.
Yeah.
All right. So first candidate, we have the newest condo that TOP 2015. This is the closest comparison we can see. So you can see number of units, 298 units. Okay. And what we see over here is that the PSF ever since in 2012, back then was 900. It didn't move up a lot to today.
Until the very recent COVID that pushed up the resale prices. If not, you've been kind of stagnating.
Yes. And rationale is about PSF, which is a big topic. Entry price we'll discuss next time. But key over here is let's see currently with Woodhaven, how does it fare and what is the resale price you're seeing compared to your Norwood Grand. Okay, so profitability, you can see if you scroll all the way in, after 10 years for some finally saw profit margin of 300k, which can technically be a BTO profit. Okay, or it could be even, I would say, a condo profit in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
So I say it's decent, okay, because of market forces, but not the best.
Yeah.
All right. And rationale is because location is not important, but it's PSF and launch. Back then, if you talk about 2012 at 800 per square feet, you potentially can get something with higher growth rate within other areas in Singapore in OCR region. And this itself is something that, coupled with the transformation in other areas and things that are of more closer to the city, this is something that is seen as a higher entry price. One thing to take note is Woodlands, interestingly, fun fact, before our next Prime Minister actually took over that whole district at Woodlands. Woodlands has always been a very quiet, people say it's very far away town. There's nothing much that was being done in this area. And that's also one reason why it has been pretty quiet until recently, with something that we will share in the next few slides. All right. So in terms of the recent transaction, you can see for Woodhaven, okay, the 3-bedder 1173 square feet is about 1194 per square feet, 1.4 million. Okay, meanwhile, for the 1-bedder, you can see 646 square feet will be about 841k. Okay, and then for the bigger 2-bedders, 850 square feet, it will be giving you about close to 1.06 to 1.07 million. So there's something that we're comparing to see whether Norwood Grand is something that we're considering. Yeah, great. So can we ask through the layout types?
So looking at the layout types, you always want to compare besides the per square feet, right? As well as the quantum for your competitors. So you can take a difference. Let's say this is 2015 and let's say Norwood Grand is going to TOP in 2028. That's like 13 years difference. So for 13 years difference, you can see, okay, if I go to Woodhaven, 2-bed, 2-bath, 850 square feet, at 1.075 million, 1264 per square feet. One thing you note is that they have a home shelter, which is very unlikely in the newer 2-bedders today. For Norwood Grand, it was going to be a dumbbell layout. I think they did a pretty good job with the kitchen, where it's not like a walk-in kitchen. You can still tuck it at the side, but of course no window. Then of course you have both your common and your master bath. So it's going to be starting from 1.238. Okay, so it's 624 square feet, but do remember that this is post-area harmonization. So the aircon ledge that you see is non-strata at the bottom. What it means that if let's say you were to plus 30 square feet of aircon ledge to have a fair comparison with developments that are pre-area harmonization, you will imagine it to be about 654 square feet as compared to 624. Okay, so starting from 1.238 means that the per square feet is 1923 in actual per square feet. If you were to prorate it down to pre-area harmonization, it's going to be about 1893.
Yeah, so they're very smart. Dumbbell layout, functional layout, and they want to compete with the quantum by using this 100k difference. I would say it's decent because for a 10-year-old project, that will be usually about the difference in quantum they're looking at.
So you see, actually, the quantum I would say is pretty attractive if you were to look for something brand new versus something of a 13-year-old difference. The difference would be maybe about 200k.
Yes, indeed. All right. So next, let's take a look at the 3-bedder, because this is when things get a little more wider in terms of price cap. 3-bedroom, okay, Woodhaven. Okay, basically have a bomb shelter, toilet at the back, and massive master and 2 huge bedrooms. And they're going at 1.4 million, 1,001 per square feet. All right. So for a 10-year difference, you can compare this when you compare to Norwood Grand. Okay, they make it more compact. Okay, the kitchens are smaller without any toilet. It's about 872 square feet. Then all the way up to something at 904, they did like a cement dumbbell layout to maximize space with a study corner with a bigger. It's very interesting.
The study is like a part of the walkway.
Yes, in fact, I haven't seen this kind of study for some time. The last time I saw was Treasure Tampines Affinity when, they classify it as a study, but it's just a corner of the living area. But if you see how they play out, starting from its 1.7, that's when the gap starts to be a little wider, about 300k difference. But when it comes to like the quantum wise, about 300k, that's when the distance of the price start to widen.
Yeah. I think when we look at this, right, you'll notice the quantum is kind of acceptable, but maybe some concerns people may have would be the differences in per square feet. Because you will see for, let's say, 13 years difference, at Woodhaven it's about 1,001-ish, but let's say at Norwood Grand, averagely, maybe it would have been about 2,000 to 2,001.
Yeah. So to go through a mental barrier, that's one thing people must be able to accept.
Yeah.
All right. And next up, if you compare it to the 3-bed, 3-bath and side-by-side Woodhaven, then you see the price gap is even wider, about 600 to 700k. Usually, our recommendation is if you can find a new launch over the same price as a resale, that is the most ideal. That's no-brainer because naturally, resale is supposed to be cheaper. Okay. That's a given. But with this, a wider range of 600k, that's something that we had to reconsider when it comes to entering this kind of bedroom types because the comparison between a similar size unit, which is actually pretty similar for this two, is decent. For a 10-year-old difference for 700k, that is when the price get a little hefty and the price gap become wider, with something that we need to take note when it comes to entering into this project. All right. And next up, we have Bellwoods. So Bellwoods is interesting. It's EC as a condominium, which is privatized. But that's when things get a little more iffy because there's an EC supposed to know
a slight discount as compared to it's not a fair condo to condo, because if let's say they are the same price, people always choose condo because it's always sort of like a better status.
Correct. Yeah. But in terms of today's market, also we noticed interestingly, a lot of private EC they really look like condo. There's not much huge difference except for the title EC. Yeah. So we noticed that in the market, EC is also another form to benchmark again to see, hey, is this unit being overvalued? Okay, for Norwood Grand. And of course, you want to be conservative, you can even factor a 5% premium that condominium has compared to EC. Yeah. But nonetheless, I will honestly, in my eyes, they're almost the same for me. Yeah. So what we see over here is in terms of Bellwoods, okay, as compared to Woodhaven, you can see the profit margin, although they bought in 2016, they made almost 800k for EC. Interesting. Rationale, very simple. You can see Woodhaven, the PSA they bought was about 800 plus per square feet. Yeah. That's 2011, 2012 price. But today, 2016, back then, when they bought as an EC, they are buying at 2011 or even lower than 2011 prices. Yeah. And when it privatized in the market at 2024, that's when they can still sell at the same price as your condo, but we see a huge profit margin of 800k, which is very, very interesting for Bellwoods. All right. So this is something that we also do take note for EC. This kind of prices we may not see in the future even because of the closing gap between the EC and condo prices in the recent times. So next up, let's take a look at the recent transaction for Bellwoods. So if you look at it, on average, they're transacting about 1,001 to 1,002 per square feet, okay, ranging from a 2-bedder, which goes about 930k, all the way up to a 3-bedder, 1.27, all the way to 4-bedder, about 1.483 million. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the layout type. Grace, can you bring us through?
So looking at the layout for the 2-bedder at Bellwoods, it's 786. I would say it's a pretty decent layout. Your living dining is quite spacious. You have a kitchen that's enclosable with a window. Then compared to Norwood Grand, you will see that this is where the differences, you start to see a difference in quantum. 930 versus maybe at 1.3, that's almost a 400k difference.
Yes, indeed. Okay, although with a dumbbell layout, the quantum starts to widen much more, about 300 plus k difference. Next, let's take a look at the 3-bedroom for Bellwoods. That's when the difference in prices become more drastic. You can see for a 3-bed, 3-bath over here, this layout type comes with a utility, a washroom, 3 very decent bedrooms, and also even a walk-in wardrobe. which in fact can be converted into a study if you want to. 160 square feet, 1.27 million. As compared to Norwood Grand, you can see 3-bedroom. Okay, no utility, no washroom at the back, 2 bathroom. They're going at about 1.7, starting from maybe about 1.85 million even for average. So you can see the difference is about 500k. Alright, so for this 3-bedroom premium plus study, you can see that the price itself, okay, is ranging from 2.0 million to almost 2.2 million. So as compared to a 3-bed, 3-bath at Bellwoods, the difference in price is ranging from 800k all the way to 1 million. And if we take a look at layout type, the only difference is actually a bigger living area. We call it a study. Some people, they actually partition this up to make it into an actual study. But in fact, in terms of the layout types, are pretty similar. Okay, and the only last difference is the bomb shelter here is actually slightly bigger than your utility room. Yeah. So in terms of quantum wise with 800k, it really put Norwood Grand, the 3-bed 3-bath as there's a reason in terms of prices, because you can get a resale almost close to 1 million cheaper than this Norwood Grand 3-bed 3-bath.
So you see the differences between the quantum, right? They get bigger and bigger as you move up in terms of the unit size. So from 2-beta, maybe it's about 200-300k difference. Once you move up to, let's say, 3-beta, you start seeing a significant quantum that when you want to exit for a new launch, you need to think of these competitions around you that could be maybe entering at 800 to maybe 1 million lesser than you.
Yeah, so put in perspective, Bellwoods is, I would say now it's about 7 years old from TOP. 5 years down the road, okay, when this Norwood Grand with TOP, it'll be close to 12 to 13 years old.
Yeah.
And right now, imagine you buy a 2, you want to sell at maybe 2.3 in the future. But right now, Bellwoods buy at 1.27, if you want to sell at 1.5, you have a competition of 1.5 million 3-bed 3-bath around the area that will compete with you. So that's something we do have to really take note accordingly when it comes to competition, especially is just side by side. All right.
Okay, so let's move on to North Wave, which is the newest comparison. Also an XEC that recently MOP'd. So TOP in 2019. Okay, you look at the profitability. Usually all ECs, they all make quite healthy profits. So similar for North Wave, their profit range from, let's say, 300 plus all the way to 600 plus for a 4-beta.
Yes, indeed.
Looking at the recent transactions, you will see that their per square feet hit about 1,200 to about 1,300. So just take note that they are the newest one. But of course, in terms of location, North Wave is slightly not as convenient, because for Norwood Grand, you are right beside the MRT. North Wave, you have to take a couple stops.
Right beside our very first office, not Com 1, not Com 2. And there's no transport over there. Yeah. So let's take a look at the layouts. Okay, so for North Wave, 2-beta, 753 square feet, 2-bed 2-bath, comes with an enclosed kitchen with a window. It's about close to 958k. Very close to 1 million. Okay. On the other hand, Norwood Grand is already hitting 1.23, close to 1.3 million, about 300k difference for dumbbell layout. Okay, so this is quite evident that once again, the gap, I would say, it would say 100, 120k, and compared to Woodhaven is okay. But when it comes to this, about 200 plus k to 50k for just, I would say, 6 years difference or 7 years different kind of development, that's when it gets a little more drastic. And also, in terms of 3-bedroom compact, as you only get going at 1.22 million, you can see enclosed kitchen, okay, no utility, very similar in terms of layout type to your Norwood Grand 3-bed 2-bath. But quantum wise, once again, is close to about a 500k difference. Okay, and this once again is something that is not as ideal, and we have to take note about the PSF. Okay, which is 1,009 versus 1,002. Okay, last one list is the 3-bedroom premium. North Wave is about 3-bed 3-bath, about 1119 square feet at 1.32 million. A bit awkward shape for the balcony, but still okay. Okay, big size living area with a huge yacht. And also a yard and also a washroom at the back. This itself gives you about close to 1.32 million. As compared to Norwood Grand 3-bed 3-bath, it will give you about close to 2 million to 2.2. Once again, another at least 700k to all the way to 900k difference in terms of prices. So this is something that once again poses a challenge when it comes to Norwood Grand, when it comes to exiting in the market.
Okay, so why we look at resale prices is also potentially the resale in the area may be something of a better buy if you want a size, right? So if you take at some case studies in the past of a XEC versus when something new was coming up, we can look at the Lakeside area. So back then, before Lake Garden actually launched, we were looking at Lake Life as an EC that has already privatized. So what you'll notice is from 2020 to 2022, right? It was during a period where prices have been moving in Singapore. But for Lake Life, they did go up, but it wasn't significant, about 4%.
Yes.
In 2022, when Lake Garden actually, they actually went through en bloc and the break even came up to about 2,000. That's when people realized, actually the estimate launch price would have been about 2,1 to 2,2, which was the price that they actually launched at.
Yes.
Because there had to be a profit margin. So when people start realizing that upcoming is going to be 2,1, 2,2, but at Lake Life, they were selling about 1,001. That's when they realized the significant gap in the market. And that's when they say, actually the resale, it proves its value. When I know that something is coming out at double the price, that's when you'll see from once they know that Lake Garden launch price is up, right? Subsequently from 2022 to 2024, that's when the jump starts to happen. So that's when you see Lake Life as an XEC, even though from 2020 to 2022, prices didn't really move. After that, they jump about 22%. So that's when the gap also start to close up from about 81% to about 50%.
Yes, indeed. Because even in 2004, 22, it still seems acceptable in the resale market. Alright, so next let's take a look at the transformation of this place, which is actually the saving grace of this entire Woodlands area. So for a long time, as mentioned just now, Woodlands had been a sleepy town. Nothing much had been formed except for Causeway Point, which came up. Okay, but in the recent years, a lot of things have been done. Where it was announced by the government in the news that they want to develop Woodlands as a regional centre. So a regional centre is a region, okay, where it's self-sufficient by itself. It's like a sub-CBD. Okay, and that's when it has its own economic and social balance, and there's sustainable growth with a lot of self-sustaining functions to it. So some examples of it, if you look at the next slide, it will be looking at a township where there is a shopping in the central area. Surrounding, if you look closely, there are even business parks, future housing, future industrial and future commercial, and even education centers that is already set up, they will build around it, and along with even park connected and even food zone. So there's some things that a lot of new exciting have been coming into Woodlands area that is really worth taking a look at. And in fact, okay, another exciting news is this rapid transit system.
Everybody's been talking about it because it's 5 minutes to JB.
Yes, finally. Not just 1 hour or 1 hour in a custom kind of transport, but really 5 minutes to JB. Exciting. In 2026, RTS will be done. So it'll be connected to Woodlands North MRT, which is just 2 stops away from Woodlands South. Yeah. So if you were to consider this area, finally you can take 3 stops all the way straight to JB. Okay. And this is something that is also interesting and exciting to take note of. Okay. And not just that, the last thing, if you notice for the past 5 years, the government have been quietly planting a lot of BTO around the area. Things have been built in midst of construction, and even launching an upcoming new BTO area, December 2023. Okay, it came out one. Okay, and subsequently, back then, 2022, they also came out another set of BTO. So if you really drive past Woodlands today, you will notice there's a lot of new BTO being constructed. Some recently collect the keys. In fact, my brother-in-law just recently collect his 3G generation flat from Massing Woodlands area. And with this, right, it's very important because it creates another catchment of buyers, future buyers who can potentially buy into the condominium in this area. And if you look at a very recent newly MOP'd BTO, okay, a lot of them have yet to MOP, but this is one of the newly MOP BTO. You can see the 3-room flat already fetched 500,000. And if you compare to the overview back then, this area, what they bought at, they only bought at maybe close to, I would say, 145k. So it's crazy. In like 8 years, they made 300k.
Yeah.
And this 300k account, and along with the savings that they have, they can easily afford a 1.5 to 1.6 million 3-bedder in this area. Or a 900k, I would say 1.4 million 2-bedder shouldn't be an issue too. Okay. And for a 4-room flat, also made about 330k. And a 5-room flat, another 400k.
Yeah.
So these are things that is transacted at about close to, for 5-room flat, 730 to even, I would say, maybe in the future, 777k.
Yeah, so I think when looking at HDB prices, right, why we always go and look at, okay, what are the surrounding area HDB transacting at? Because potentially these are the upgraders, and you want to know that when they exit the HDB, they have enough funds to potentially upgrade to, let's say, the next property. So like Chris mentioned, okay, if it's, let's say, a 1.5, 1.6, yeah, they do have the funds if they were to offload the HDB that maybe 4-bedder transacting about 400-500.
Yes.
But if, let's say, they were to go up to 2 million, 2.2, then that's a bit of a gap between the HDB and the condo prices that there is a shortfall that potentially, if these people, even if they have fully cleared the HDB and they were to get the full funds from here, it may not have been enough for them to upgrade to, let's say, a 2.2 million. So that's something to take note also.
Yes, indeed. All right. And in Woodlands South itself, okay, there's a BTO project that launched in 2020, August. But due to COVID, the TOP date was dragged all the way back, okay, to close to 2026, maybe I would say maybe 2025 end. Okay, so the MOP date will be 2030. Okay, so to take note, why is this area, because most likely people say this area want to move to the same area, upgrade to condo. So if they were to buy something that is, I would say, close to selling about maybe 900k in the future, the amount of cash funds they may unlock could be close to about 5 to 600k. Okay, so when it comes to exiting, to buy something about 2 million, is something comfortable, but maybe 2.2 to 2.3 is something that may be slightly tougher when it comes to exiting within this area. Okay, so last one, let's take a look at the last part, which is another saving race, the land bits around the area. So fun fact, because of transformation of Woodlands, a lot of focus have been given by the government to start the government land sale within this area.
Yeah.
Okay, in fact, one of the very exciting highlight that is going to launch about next year is this place at Woodland Avenue 2, okay, which is right beside Causeway Point. Yeah, so if you drive past Causeway Point, okay, there's actually a very big plot empty land right in front, and it's currently marked as a white site. Very similar to Jurong, the white site area. And what we notice is this land will be launching about next year. So this white site can either be used for commercial, can be used for like a service apartment, and even like offices.
Basically, can be used for anything.
Yeah, so it's free flow, and sometimes they will actually add new residential in this area. Yeah. So with this, if we set a new benchmark, maybe 2.1 to 2.2, potentially is another safety net that you can hedge against to bring this price up in Woodlands area.
So why we also look at, if there is any upcoming land bids, because every time when something new comes up, that government kind of protects the prices. So it's like the recent Jurong East plot that, if the developer don't hit the reserve price, the government don't release the plots because they feel like, okay, the market is not ready to react to these prices. I'm going to hold on to the prices until developer is willing to bid at this price and the market is kind of accepting of this price. So that's why generally you see GLS, the prices continue to climb. And every time this happens, right, means the developer will sell it at an even higher price. Then this sets a new benchmark that will then start to pull the surrounding prices up also.
Yes, indeed. All right. Another plot to take note is right in front of Woodlands South. There's actually another EC plot that will be concluding end of this month, October 2024. So this once again, given that the recent EC have been quite quickly step up, almost 99% to 100% sold for most EC. Government is very bullish when it comes to selling EC plot.
Yeah.
You see the prices of EC edging closer and closer to condominium in general. So there's something that we also am looking at to see what exactly can this benchmark be. And of course, this won't be available to compare. It will take about close to 8 years, 3 years to build, another 5 years to MOP. And of course, with this, they will be looking at a longer term horizon. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of this video. I hope that all these numbers analysis will give you a better insight of Woodlands area, which is a very exciting area to think about. So with this, we come to the end of this video. I hope that you have better understanding of Woodlands area and what are the considerations to have when it comes to choosing a unit at Norwood Grand. Okay, but as usual, we will be doing the bar approach. It is buy, wait, or avoid. So Grace, what's your opinion?
I think personally, if you're limited by budget, I think some of the quantum at Norwood Grand is pretty attractive based on the overall new launches that's coming up. If let's say the budget is 1.7, 1.8, I think there are some units that you can consider. But of course, if let's say budget is 2 million upwards, I think there are better options that you can consider. So I think some of the things we don't want to say on cam, but if you want to understand what are some of the options that you can consider, you can feel free to contact us and we can break down the numbers a little bit more for you also. Yeah, so that's the end and all that we have for today's video. If you want to see any upcoming new launches or if any topics that you want us to touch on, can just comment on our section below. And if you want to stick to any of us, to understand a bit more on your purchase options, what are some things you can consider to go through the numbers a little bit, you can also contact our WhatsApp over here and we have someone reach out to you. Okay, so that's all that we have for today. See you the next time. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.